this hoop here we planted with black-eyed Susan vine, and this nice little welcoming thing came from Tree of Life. Today is a fairly clear day for June. Looking down there you can see to Anaheim Stadium. Disneyland is off there on the other side of the bank of eucalyptus trees. So that kind of gives you a clear shot. It's basically a flat coastal plain that extends all the way to the ocean, which is about 20 miles away. But like I said, when it comes to planting instruction, I don't follow the ones that say coastal. I follow the instructions that talk about inland, because we're far enough inland that I will just fry a fair number of things in the summertime unless I give them some afternoon shades. So if that helps anybody in determining whether you're coastal or inland. See, I wouldn't have thought of myself as being inland, not like Pasadena, not like Riverside County, San Bernardino County, Eastern LA County. You know, I would think of those as inland, but it just gets really quite warm. So in pots here, in this one and in this one, I've got big Berry Manzanita, which, believe it or not, I got for free. They were giving it away. Grow Native in Claremont at Rancho Santa Ana Botanical Gardens. They just had extras and they were giving it away. And so I put it in here, and I've had to replace one. Here's also this one. And, you know, but so far it's been done pretty well in pots. You know, the pots give it good drainage. I've got a perlite mix there so that it's fast draining. And so far they seem to do pretty well. So that's big Berry Manzanita. I'm walking over to find some other manzanita on the other side, but about the big Berry Manzanita, that stuff gets really big, but since I've got it in pots, that should restrict it won't get full growth, and hopefully it won't overwhelm the pots too much. Here in this area, I have two specimens of Bird Hill Manzanita. This also will grow very big. This has been here for probably going on 2 years, and it's been doing pretty well. So over here at the west end of the lot, I put Lewis Edmonds Manzanita, plus some Dudleya or Live Forever down here at the base of the pot. And they seem to be doing pretty good. And I think they will continue to do pretty good, but I'll tell you this one little tip, folks, and that is when you go on vacation in the summertime, make sure you hire a reliable young man or young woman to water your potted plants, because I did lose one of those and had to replace it. These things, by the way, they like to be dry. So, you know, if it's wet, I don't water it. It's just that they don't want to be too dry. And so you need to let them completely dry out and even have a couple of days of dry. But then you need to water them. And of course, you know, they're pots and free draining and lots of perlite in there, as you can see. So I think they'll do pretty well, but I do have to watch that one particular thing, which is going on vacation in the summertime. Our lowest property line here, trying to weave around through the plants, and it goes down slope a little bit and gets down here, and so this chain link fence is the property line. And along here I put about 5 or 6, and they're either lemonade berry. I've got an Austin Griffin Manzanita at the far end, and the other stuff I've got in here is more Toyon. So I'm going to show you, this has all been in here a year or so, and so far it has done pretty well. You can actually even see that that's got new growth, which is always a good sign, isn't it? But this is looking a whole lot like Toyon to me. And that one is also looking, those leathery tipped leaves. This one is the Austin Griffin Manzanita, but you can see there the typical marker of the Manzanita, which is that red trunks that you can see in there. And that one seems to be going along pretty well. That one's showing that it's grown. It'll take a number of years for it to get up where I can actually even see it up above, but I'll wait. While I'm here, I'll show you the desert willow. Now, a month or two ago, this is a desert plant. It's winter deciduous, goes completely bare. Leaves start coming back in April. And it's got a beautiful, and I'm not going to be able to prove it to you right now because the blossoms have dropped, but it's got beautiful pink blossoms, just gorgeous. So this has now been in here for, and you know what? I think that's probably been in there 2 years. And I was hoping it was going to grow a little bit faster, but hey, what the heck. And so I got another one to the right and another 2 to the left. This stuff will grow up to be 12, 15 feet high. You can shape it. It has these long-lasting blossoms, you know, through the spring and at least partly into the summer, I understand. So I'm really anxious for that to come along, and we'll see how it goes. Right in here, it'll be a little bit hard to see, but I put in a Ceanothus, and this one is Sierra Snow. So this one will have white blossoms. This one has been in here and has probably grown a good foot or more, but you know, it's still pretty slow growing. I'm just happy to see them alive. I've got it on the slope. You know, it ought to have excellent drainage in that position. So I've got the desert willow and a Toyon, and this one growing up here with the ones I showed you down below. The ones I showed you down below are right in this area down below where I am right now. So those will also, in the years to come, will come popping. So this, of course, is milkweed, and that's larval for monarch butterflies. Here in the blue pot, I've got cassia. Cassia is non-native, but it is larval for the sulfur butterflies, which are, you know, the yellow butterflies. And on occasion, I've seen it, you know, it's been eaten up pretty good with caterpillars, and then a few weeks or a month later, I'll see more sulfur butterflies concentrated here than I have before. So the thing that we have that is larval for butterflies that I have planted in this area is passion vine. And it is larval for the caterpillars of fritillary butterfly. I had 2 of them here, and one of them has died, and the other one, this is still looking pretty ratty, but the sure sign that you're still having some success is holes in the leaves. So if you've got that with the plants that you've planted and that are larval for butterflies, then that's a sign that it's doing some good. Ep.4 Madeira is not a native, but it's really a spectacular plant. They have either white or purple stalks, and this one will have, as you can see, oh, by the way, the bees just love this. This is going to have a purple stalk. This has been in the ground more than 1 season, less than 2. And it's coming along just fine. In front of it here, I've got Encilia californica, which is coast sunflower. Got a couple here. This was the original one. It got a little ratty. I cut it back, so it's coming back. And, oh yes, by the way, here's 3 more that are popping up. So that'll look nice with the purple and with the yellow flowers on the Encilia, purple on the Pride of Madeira. So besides the Dudleya or live forever that I've got there, and the one I showed you back there in the pots with the Manzanita, I've also put some right here in this kind of semi-shady spot, which so far it seems to enjoy. And so for varieties on that one, my notes tell me that I've got giant chalk Dudleya and bright green Dudleya. Here in the raised garden beds, Obviously we've got flowers, and my wife has got tomato plants in there, and I've got a jungle growing here with mustard and kale and Salvia clevelandii aromas. I'm pretty sure that's what I stuck there. Getting back over here in front of it, we've got some more Channel Island buckwheat. The one on the right we saw before, that is the Santa Cruz Island buckwheat. And this red one here is red buckwheat or San Miguel Island buckwheat. Now, supposedly that one's kind of a rare species there, and it's doing just fine. It kind of sits out here where it doesn't get any water unless I give it a splash, which I do occasionally and sporadically, but so far they seem to be doing just fine. I bought some salvias from Salvia by the Sea, and I think this one is Big Swing salvia or sage. And I also bought some from them some butterfly sage, and I, not due to their fault but mine, I lost some of that, but I just bought some of that from at the Fullerton College plant sale. I think my mistake on that before is I put it out there in full sun. And once again, I'm learning my lesson that, you know, some of these plants in my hot direct sun here in Fullerton need to have some afternoon shade. So I put them in this spot where they're actually going to get more shade than they are sun, but I think they'll probably do pretty good. Behind it is my Grand Canon Snapdragon again. This one has been in longer and therefore grown a little bit more. I've also got a second one over here hiding in that corner, and you know, I'm not sure that's a very ideal spot for it, and yet it's growing taller than any of the others. Now the reason why we put it here is because it's right outside our windows, and these guys will of course produce these red tubular flowers, which hummingbirds, which I can hear behind me right now, hummingbirds go crazy for. And so I'm kind of waiting for that to come along and see if we can't attract hummingbirds. But in the meantime, they like the Berkeley barb, and this of course is a non-native lily of the Nile, and just this morning I saw little hummingbirds right around this. So they're not all that particular, but they are particularly attracted to the red tubular flowers. There's a story that goes with this. This was part of it. It was a seed mix that I threw out here. Got it from Tree of Life. And the guy told me, he said, there's going to be something that's going to pop up and it's going to look like a weed. But it's not a weed, so just let it grow. And so, sure enough, as after a couple of months after we put it out here, and something popped up and it looked like a weed to me. But I figured that was the one that he told me to leave alone. And so then it grew and grew and grew, and it grew up like this. And this one over here in the brightest, sunniest spot was the one that got up the farthest. And so the biggest plant, my wife, it's right here by her iris collection, and she didn't like it, and she figured it was a weed, so she chopped it out. But the others, you know, the others came along, and she didn't chop them out, and they just grew. And so this is what they do. And so it started doing this probably back in April, certainly in May. And it will continue to do this, at least if it does like it did last year. It'll do it all the way through October and into November. And it just has these periodic blossoms on it. And it is an odd looking thing. And especially when it comes up like this, you know, you think, what the heck's going to come of that? But anyway, it does produce these really quite pretty yellow flowers, and a lot of them.